How's it going, everyone? This is That Man, and today we are talking about manga. This is once again that time when I talk about all of that lovely manga that I've looked over and read over the past month. It was supposed to be a 2-weekly kind of fortnightly thing, but I got lazy, and yeah. And I'm not going to lie, that I'm not really a huge amount of manga. And on the other hand, I have read a ton amount of manga. Let's have a look. First up, we have The Drifting Classroom by Kazumi. Yes, this is one of those ones that is noted as a classic, and dear God, this is an absolutely hefty, massive tome of a book. One that you could just go boom and club some with it. Please do not use your manga as weapons of assault. I use them as traps for small rabbits and mice. You know, you just put them on top of the door, and when something opens the door, just knocks them out every time. I mean, it beats the rabbits. Yes, and this is an absolute gem of a title, and one that I'm so glad that I actually picked up. It's a classic horror story, and it's about a bunch of, well, I say a bunch of children. It's about a school, an entire school just up and vanishes one day, and the protagonist, a young child who's had an argument with his mum, finds himself trapped in another world. It's an isekai. It's an isekai! Oh my God, it's an isekai. It's a horror isekai. And not everything is as it seems. They first off, things are immediately turned to horror, because it's like, oh no, where's my mummy and daddy? I want my mummy and daddy. Until people start dying. Usually people fall into madness, people fall into depression, and it's quite savage in the way things kind of work out. It's an absolute true-to-God horror, and it's one that I don't normally see when it comes to anime and manga. The reason being is all of the protagonists are kids, and they look like quite young kids that should not be in this kind of situation. It's kind of a Lord of the Rings situation. That's not right. It's kind of a Lord of the Flies situation, where they kind of just say, yeah, they end up killing each other in order to survive. Not that quite that extreme, but it's you see a lot of things in this, what you kind of see in future horror series, where a young protagonist has to man up and become the whole centre of attention. There's a lot of dissension between the ranks, there's a lot of infighting, there's a lot of fighting between students and teachers, and there are all of the other faculty in between. And with them being in this strange new world, there's a lot of mysterious things that's going on around there. It's an absolute thrilling series, and honestly, this is an absolute massive book, but I got through it rather quickly despite its size. I was that engrossed, and you could get through chapters incredibly quickly. It's definitely one that I would recommend picking up, because yeah, it's a lot of fun. Next up, we have Miss Kazumi Loves Ramen Noodles by Narumi. This is a Dark Horse title. Yes, my first Dark Horse title that I'm actually probably not going to collect. This was a one-off purchase and a blind buy. I think I've watched a little bit of the anime, and yeah, this one was decent, but it was nothing entirely special. It's about a young girl who just loves ramen noodles, and her friend who just wants to get close to her, and the only way to get close to her is by eating ramen. Yes, it's one of those weird ones about food and kind of the food porn industry. There is no food porn industry, you know, the kind of like food wars kind of whole thing. And yeah, I enjoyed it, but again, it's another Dark Horse one where it's like, if this was on digitally, I'd just be buying this every time. But now it's just kind of like, well, yeah, it was alright. It was decent enough, but much like most Dark Horse manga, I don't feel like I need to buy any more. And most likely it's going to end up out of print, and I'll not be able to collect the whole thing. Otherwise, it was a decent manga if you like your food porn series, if you like Food Wars, if you like all of the other ones like Golden Kamuy. It's a decent edition. It's nothing entirely spectacular, but I feel like I enjoyed it when I read it. Next up, we have Komi Can't Communicate Volume 3, and this is another one that I'm not sure whether or not I want to keep with. I am enjoying it, however, it's kind of just going through the motions now. Well, it had a very strong premise at the very beginning, and it's kind of peeled away compared to titles like Watermode, where kind of go through the whole thing a lot more stronger. Watermode had the whole thing where she can't communicate and she doesn't have any friends and she's not popular for a long time, whereas Komi has very quickly amassed a ton of friends, and I'm already aware there's 20 volumes of this now, so I'm kind of like, yeah, what else is there to tell of this story except it's just going through slice of life kind of motions? And yeah, I'm enjoying it when I'm reading it. I'm really enjoying it, but I'm also kind of at the point where, do I want this on my shelf? And the moment I'm going to keep collecting it because it's always my freebie one when I buy 2 get 1 free when I buy Dr. Stone and Golden Kamuy. But apart from that, I'm kind of considering going digital. And maybe Viz can pull the finger out and start getting some better deals on digital stuff, and I'll pick up a lot of more series like this and B-Stars because I really want to read more B-Stars. Next up is yet another spin-off, and this was another one that I didn't even realise existed, and this is Overlord, the Undead King. Oh, yes, we talked about another Overlord spin-off a few weeks ago, and I was kind of in the middle of the road with that one. However, this one I absolutely adored. This one was so much fun, and oh, honestly, I can see myself reading this one time and time again compared to the other one. The other one was quite serious and it was just like all the daily lives of the Nazareth tomb. This one is just ridiculous, out of context stuff. They have a panto. The Overlord cast have a panto. They're voting things on what they're going to name the series. Hamsky learns how to read and write. It's all of these little weird things that you wouldn't expect from the Overlord cast, and it's done in a rather nice style. It's in the same style as Isekai Quartet or slash Pleiades, and I really enjoy this one compared to the other one, and it's just so ridiculous. If you really like Overlord, I would definitely recommend picking this one up and at least trying it out. Next up is Silver Spoon, and honestly I'm still enjoying this a lot more than Fullmetal Alchemist. This has gone very dark indeed. Well, I say very dark, it's just telling us plain truths. He isn't sure of what he wants to do in life, so he's kind of getting a little bit of an idea. He's trying to pull things together in this whole farm and agriculture. We're finding people are just struggling to survive. Farms are going bust. Farms are having to sell cattle and produce and loved friends just to make ends meet. And the main character is starting to try and realise his goal in life isn't to step against the curve, but it's to try and change that curve and push it to a bright new future. I'm absolutely adoring this series, and I'm really sad that it's actually going to be ending soon. I think it's ending on volume 15, so there's not a huge amount to go. I think volume 12 is actually out soon because Yen Press have really pushed to try and get more of it out. And it's quite sad that I want more of it. It's one of those series that I really want more of it. I believe it's getting digital release soon as well, which is kind of like me just like, oh, no. But I can't complain because I've had a great time with this so far. I've bought a lot of them on the cheap. So it coming out digitally at this point, well, I'm probably going to reread it again a few times in the future. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of this discussion between buying stuff digitally because I'm really starting to consider curving back what I'm buying and just buying everything digitally in the future, because I'm starting to see less and less of a reason to buy them physically unless I absolutely adore the series. Stay tuned because I'm probably going to have some decent sales on soon. A clearance sale probably. Next up we have Dr. Stone Volume 8, and it's Dr. Stone. This is far beyond what the anime, in fact it's probably what the anime is going to end up getting up to if you are watching that. We are building some certain things, including a mobile phone, and looking at this, as you can see, a car. If you actually were following me over a year ago, this is actually the content that I was actually reviewing on a week-to-week basis, because that was great, but I just couldn't keep it up. And this is the whole thing building up into the whole the Stone Wars, the Senku versus Tsukasa Empire, and yeah, it's getting really exciting. If you are not into Dr. Stone so far, I would definitely recommend checking it out and getting into it, because it is something definitely worth getting excited for. This just continues our trends, introduces us to some fantastic new characters who will get a lot of great attention, and honestly it's one of those series I can just gush and gush and gush about. I think I may actually do another video on it very soon, because yeah, I really want to talk more about Dr. Stone. Next up is another series that I want to cover more on an individual basis, and that is Divine Rement Magical Girl Howling Moon. Yes, it's a Magical Girl series. The twist is, this is a Magical Girl series done by the people who did Triage X and the artist of High School of the Dead. You know, that classic manga, and as you can expect for something like this, yeah, I don't read many magical girl series. It's never been a genre that I'm really getting into. I read Cutie Honey a few years ago. In fact, it's one I want to reread and actually do a proper review on, because that's something worth talking about. But Howling Moon was a title that I picked up on a whim. I found out who did the art, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. This was around when I bought Triage X, and a few issues with this series getting brought out meant it took us a while to even get it, and to which point it was buried deep beyond everything else. So I kind of felt, oh well, I'll leave it for now, and I'll leave it. I kind of regret leaving it. A few people say, oh, it's not worth reading, no, it's not worth picking up, but I'm going to disagree with that. If you like those previous series, High School of the Dead, Triage X, definitely pick it up. It's pretty much focusing on what we've had, stuff like that previously. Yes, as you can probably expect, it's a lot of ecchi, it's a lot of boobs, with a nice decent plot that we can kind of get behind. And plot. Next up is Umaru-Chan Volume 7, and yeah, this is continuing to be pretty darn fun. I tried to read Umaru as it comes out, and I was doing weekly reviews on it. As with each and every volume. I kind of feel like, much like Dr. Stone, I want to cover this as maybe once it's done. There's a lot of great things to talk about Umaru-Chan, and yeah, it's one of those series that continues to be a lot of fun. Our favourite trash potato continues to be trash, except in this one, she's decided to hang up the orange sweatshirt, the orange hoodie. She's kind of thinking, oh well, I'm gonna drop it and become a normal girl for a change. That lasts about 2 chapters. Also, there's a whole thing about Alex spying on her, which doesn't really go anywhere, and we get introduced to another new girl. Yeah, I think this is kind of starting to go through the whole process of how should we see it kind of floundering a little bit. I'm enjoying it, and I believe it goes up to about volume 10 or 12, and I'm enjoying every single one. But again, much like Komi, it's kind of just going through the usual things. It's a slice of life, and it's just all these standalone stories, and I kind of starting to feel like a lot of the standalone stories are kind of getting a little bit the same. I'm hoping to see that we're going to get some decent development at least in the next few ones. But apart from Komi, but much like Komi, I'm still enjoying it, just not to the extent I was originally. Finally, I have been trying to binge all of Pokemon Adventures, at least the first generation of them. Now, Pokemon Adventures is a series that I have picked up and read time and time again. It's one that I actually owned originally, and along with about half of Gold and Silver, and then I got rid of them. And the reason being was that I was never going to read them again, and I was trying to get rid of manga. And then I bought them again because they were cheap. Pokemon Adventures tells the story of Red, Blue and Green, and later Yellow, and it covers basically the story of the first Pokemon games. However, the difference between this is that it manages to cover a lot of different things. We get a lot more expansion on stuff like gym leaders. The gym leaders are not only strong trainers, but they're also the protector of the towns. It also kind of explains stuff like where it's just like, oh well, I'm not going to use my strongest one, I've got to use ones in accordance to this. And you can kind of challenge the gym leaders out of order. Some of the gym leaders aren't quite as good as you expect, and some of them are kind of in league with Team Rocket. And I love how all of the gym leaders actually manage to become important, relevant characters. They're really building on it. In fact, I'm really looking forward to picking up the Sword and Shield Pokemon Adventures. It might be something I might pick up as we're going on, because there's a lot of great gym leaders in that one, but I'm not really getting a huge amount from them. Pokemon Adventures is one of those series that I really want to read more of, but I can't justify the space. I even looked to get the Gold and Silver box set after this, but it was out of print and it was really expensive, which is a huge shame. So, oh well. I'm going to try and get. I'm going to read as much as I can of all of this. I'm going to finish reading all of this one, the Red, Blue, Green, and Yellow saga. And yeah, if you like Pokemon, I would definitely recommend checking this one out, because it's real good. I don't know how the later ones get on, but the first batch, real fun. And that's it from me. Thank you for coming, and thanks again for staying. If you did enjoy this, please leave a like, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for coming, and thanks again. Goodbye.